Welcome to the Wisdom Tribe. If you are listening to this right now, it is not by coincidence. It is by divine appointment. You have been drawn here by the Spirit of God Himself because this message carries something that belongs to you. You are not here by accident. You are here because heaven has already stamped you as chosen, set apart, and destined for greatness. For too long, people, systems, and even circumstances tried to convince you that you would never rise, never achieve, never break free from the invisible ceilings placed over your life. They whispered lies, set traps, and tried to box you in. They told you that your potential had limits, that your background defined your future, that your story would always be one of struggle and defeat. But hear this today. God Himself has stepped into your situation, and He is declaring, "My child, I am lifting you to the very place they said you'd never reach." This isn't just about a small breakthrough. It's about elevation to a level that defies logic, shatters expectations, and proves once and for all that when God says yes, no man, no system, no demon can say no. You are about to be lifted where mockers will have no choice but to watch in silence. You are about to be lifted where haters will not be able to follow. You are about to be lifted into a dimension so high, so undeniable, that your very life becomes a testimony of God's glory. Chosen one, this word is for you. Receive it with an open heart. Before we go any further, if your spirit is catching this word, I want you to type lifted 7 in the comments right now. That's not just a number, it is prophetic. The number 7 represents divine completion, and when it's doubled, it means double favor, double breakthrough, and double lifting. By typing lifted 7, you're declaring that God is about to raise you not just once, but in ways that exceed what anyone thought possible. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Tribe, and stay with me until the very end of this message, because your elevation is about to be revealed in a way no one, including your enemies, saw coming. Let's give into Chapter 1. They underestimated you. Chosen one. From the very beginning, people underestimated you. They looked at the surface level of your life, your family background, your upbringing, your mistakes, your resources, and even your personality, and decided you weren't capable of much. They thought your voice was too soft, your presence too small, your dreams too wild, your resources too limited. They assumed that someone like you could never go far. To them, you were ordinary, forgettable, replaceable, nothing special. But what they saw was never the full picture. They judged you by what was visible while God was shaping you in the invisible. They measured your potential by earthly standards. But your assignment has always been heavenly. They calculated your future based on statistics, but your destiny was written in eternity. They couldn't see the divine blueprint written over your life, so they miscalculated who you truly were. They whispered behind your back, "He'll never make it. She'll never go far. That one will never rise above their circumstances." Some mocked your dreams, some laughed at your plans, some even tried to convince you to shrink back into the shadows. They mistook your humility for weakness. They misread your quietness as emptiness. They pointed at your struggles and said, "See? That's proof they'll never rise." They thought they had you figured out, but they didn't know that God had hidden treasures inside of you, treasures no man could measure. And while they were busy doubting you, heaven was busy endorsing you. Angels were keeping record. Every insult, every rejection, every closed door became material for your preparation. You see, chosen one, rejection was never meant to break you, it was meant to redirect you. Their underestimation didn't shrink your destiny, it sharpened it. Every no trained your spirit to hear God's yes. Every betrayal taught you how to lean on the one who never leaves. Every disappointment stretched your faith and prepared your character for the weight of what was coming. God allowed them to underestimate you for a reason. Just like Joseph, who was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, underestimated as nothing more than a dreamer. Your story was not meant to start at the top. You had to endure being overlooked so that when your elevation came, there would be no confusion about who made it happen. Just like David, who was left in the fields when his brothers stood before Samuel, God hid you in plain sight. People walked past you, counted you out, dismissed your worth. But what they didn't see was that you were the one carrying the oil. You were the one chosen. You were the one heaven had already marked. Chosen one, their underestimation was not your limitation. It was God's setup. He let them laugh. He let them doubt. He let them dismiss you. Because when your moment of unveiling comes, those same mouths will have to testify. Surely the Lord has done this. You were not overlooked. You were preserved. You were not dismissed. You were being developed. You were not forgotten. You were being positioned. And now the same people who once said you'd never rise will be forced to watch you ascend into the very places they said you'd never reach. Understand this. Their underestimation was never about you. It was about their own limited vision. They saw you through the lens of fear, insecurity, and failure. But God has always seen you through the lens of destiny. He saw the warrior inside you when they only saw weakness. He saw the leader in you when they only saw lack. He saw the vessel of greatness when they only saw someone ordinary. And now, chosen one, the season of hiding is ending. The same ones who doubted you will witness the proof of God's hand on your life. The same ones who dismissed you will have to acknowledge your elevation. The same ones who thought you'd stay small will watch you soar. Because here's the truth, you were never underestimated in heaven. You were never a question mark in God's eyes. While man saw ordinary, heaven saw extraordinary. While man saw limits, God saw unlimited potential. While man said never, God said now. Chapter 2. The battle built you. Chosen one, every struggle you went through was not wasted. You may have thought you were simply enduring pain, but in truth, God was strengthening you in ways you couldn't yet see. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every season of confusion was not meaningless. It was molding you into the person God called you to be. Think about it. The heartbreaks taught you compassion. The disappointments taught you discernment. The betrayals taught you not to put your trust in man, but in God alone. The closed doors taught you that timing matters, and that not every opportunity is a God opportunity. Every lesson you learned through pain became a tool you now carry with you for your destiny. When others looked at you, they thought you were breaking down. They said, "This one is finished." They mistook your silence for defeat, your stillness for stagnation, and your tears for weakness. But what they didn't know was that God was using that very season to build something unshakable within you. Chosen one, the fire you walked through didn't burn you, it purified you. The storms didn't sink you, they anchored you. The wilderness didn't kill you, it prepared you. You were not being destroyed, you were being developed. God was stripping away everything that couldn't go with you into the next season. He was sharpening your vision, testing your heart, and teaching you obedience. The truth is, if you hadn't gone through those battles, you wouldn't have the strength you carry today. You wouldn't have the authority in your voice, the wisdom in your decisions, or the resilience in your spirit. Every hardship was a hidden investment into your future. Think of David. Before he ever held a crown, he held a sling. Before he faced Goliath, he faced lions and bears in the wilderness. To outsiders, those battles seemed random and small, but they were training ground for the moment he would stand before a giant. And just like David, the struggles you fought when no one was watching prepared you for the stage God is about to place you on. Chosen one, your enemies thought they were burying you, but they were actually planting you. Like a seed pushed deep into the dark soil, unseen and forgotten, you were being transformed in secret. Roots were forming, strength was developing. And now, after that hidden season, it's time for the fruit to appear. The enemy thought the depression would silence you. He thought the financial struggle would break you. He thought the rejection would make you quit. But all it did was push you closer to God. All it did was ignite a fire in you that cannot be extinguished. You carry now an unshakable faith that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, and cannot be broken. And here's the beautiful thing. The very battles that were designed to destroy you became the evidence that you are unstoppable. You came out wiser. You came out stronger. You came out more anointed. And now, you carry authority in the spirit realm, because only those who have wrestled with the storm have the right to speak peace into it. So never despise your battles, chosen one. They were necessary. They were shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of what is coming. They were preparing you to stand where others would collapse. They were giving you the endurance to hold blessings that would crush the unprepared. You were not breaking, you were building. You were not being buried, you were being planted. And now you are about to rise, not just as a survivor, but as a living testimony that what the enemy meant for evil, God turned for good. Chapter 3. God heard every word they spoke. Chosen one, let this sink in. You were never alone in the silence. Every whisper, every insult, every lie spoken against you was heard by the one who sees all and hears all. Nothing escaped his ears. He heard the jokes they cracked when you walked away. He heard the gossip they spread when you weren't around. He heard the predictions they made about your downfall. They thought their words were buried in secrecy, but heaven was listening the entire time when they said, Maol, she'll never amount to anything. God wrote it down. When they said he'll never escape his past, God took note. When they laughed and mocked, saying, look at him now, he's finished. God heard, and he smiled. Why did he smile? Because he knew something they didn't. He knew their words had no authority over your destiny. He knew their limited vision could never override his eternal plan. He knew that while they were tearing you down with words, he was building you up with promises. Think of David. Goliath stood before him, mocking him, belittling him, shouting threats in front of an entire nation. But God heard every word. And while Goliath's words shook the army of Israel, they only stirred the anointing in David. God turned Goliath's mockery into a setup for David's victory. Think of Joseph. His own brothers called him a dreamer, laughed at his visions, and said, "We'll see what becomes of his dreams." They thought selling him into slavery silenced his destiny. But God heard them, and he turned their betrayal into the very road that carried Joseph into his palace. Think of Hannah. Peninnah mocked her for her barrenness, ridiculed her prayers, and tried to break her spirit. But God heard every cruel word, and when Hannah held Samuel in her arms, her testimony silenced the laughter of her rival. Chosen one. The same God who defended David, Joseph, and Hannah is the same God who is defending you. Every insult, every slander, every doubt, they were all auditions for the stage of your breakthrough. Their words did not crush you, they confirmed you. Their mockery was proof that you were carrying something worth mocking. Their doubt was evidence that you were destined for something they could not comprehend. And now, the time of silence is ending. The same mouths that spoke against you will have to speak differently. Those who said, "You'll never rise," will have to testify, "Surely the Lord has lifted them up." Those who mocked, "They'll never make it," will marvel. Look at what God has done in their life. Understand this. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to argue. You don't need to clap back. Let them talk. Let them mock. Let them predict your failure, because when God speaks, every other voice is silenced, and his response is not small, it's undeniable. Your elevation will speak louder than their criticism. Your breakthrough will echo louder than their gossip. Your transformation will thunder louder than their laughter. God has been listening, and now he is about to answer, not with explanations, but with results. Not with words, but with wonders. Not with defense, but with undeniable demonstration. So stand firm, chosen one. Heaven has heard and heaven has recorded, and soon the earth will see. Your story will become living proof that no lie, no insult, no curse can override what God has ordained. Every word they spoke will fade into nothingness when the sound of your victory fills the atmosphere. Because God always has the last word. Chapter 4. Divine lifting is not by human hands. Chosen one, hear me clearly. The next level you are about to step into will not be credited to man. It will not be because of who you know, what connections you have, or how perfectly you played the system. No. It will be a move so supernatural that no human hand can claim responsibility for it. When this shift happens in your life, the only explanation anyone will have is 3 simple words. God did it. For too long, people tried to make you believe your rise depended on them. Some dangled opportunities in your face, making you feel like you owed them your destiny. Some shut doors in your path as if they had the final say over your future. Others tried to block, delay, or sabotage your progress because they feared the greatness within you. But let me remind you, people may have positions, but only God has power. And when God decides to lift you, no human system, no jealous enemy, and no gatekeeper can stop it. Think about Joseph. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and locked in a prison. Men stripped him of his coat, his freedom, his reputation. But when God's time came, he lifted Joseph directly into Pharaoh's palace. No brother, no slave master, no prison guard could take credit for his rise. The testimony was clear. It wasn't human promotion, it was divine lifting. Think about Daniel. He was a foreigner in Babylon, surrounded by people who wanted to see him fall. They plotted against him, conspired against him, even threw him into a den of lions. But when God stepped in, not only did the lions lose their appetite, but Daniel was elevated to a position of honor above the very men who tried to destroy him. Again, no human hand could take the credit. It was God who lifted him. Chosen one. The same God who lifted Joseph out of prison and Daniel out of the pit is about to lift you out of every limitation. He is about to place you in rooms you didn't campaign for, at tables you didn't beg to sit at, and on stages you never applied to stand on. And when people look at you, they will wonder, how did this happen? How did they rise so quickly? And the answer will be undeniable. God did it. This is why you don't have to manipulate. You don't have to beg. You don't have to chase after validation or compromise your integrity to fit in. When God's hand is on you, striving ends and grace takes over. His favor will do what no hustle ever could. His timing will do what years of planning never achieved. His anointing will carry you where your resume, your qualifications, and even your reputation never could. Get this in your spirit. When God lifts, no man can push you down. When He opens a door, no devil, no system, and no enemy can shut it. Your elevation is unstoppable because it is authored by the one who holds the universe in His hands. Chosen one, prepare your heart for a supernatural shift, because soon the very ones who doubted you will stand in awe. The very ones who tried to block you will be forced to admit they had no power over your story. And the very ones who thought you needed them will realize you were never depending on them anyway. Your testimony is about to become one phrase that shakes the atmosphere. This was not man. This was God. Chapter 5. You're being positioned for influence. Chosen one, listen carefully. This lifting that God is orchestrating in your life has very little to do with personal gain and everything to do with divine assignment. It's not about clout, not about status, not about applause. This is about heaven placing you strategically like a key in the right lock, to open doors not only for yourself, but for many others. God has been preparing you in secret for this very thing. While others were out in the spotlight, you were in the shadows being refined. While they were running for recognition, you were walking with revelation. And now, that quiet season of obscurity is about to pay off, because God is raising you into positions where your influence will carry impact beyond what you ever imagined. Think about Joseph. His brothers betrayed him, sold him, and left him for dead. He was thrown into pits and prisons, but none of that stopped the prophecy over his life. At the right time, God lifted him from a prison cell straight into Pharaoh's palace. Why? Not so Joseph could boast in his own power, but so he could preserve nations in a time of famine. His influence wasn't about recognition, it was about responsibility. Chosen one, you are Joseph in this generation. You have endured betrayal, rejection, and misunderstanding, but all of it has been training. You have been trusted with pain because you can be trusted with power. God is now positioning you in places where your wisdom, your faith, and your resilience will be desperately needed. Think about Daniel. He was taken captive, brought into Babylon, and forced into a culture that was not his own. Yet instead of compromising, he stood firm in his faith, and God lifted him to places of high authority. So much so that even kings leaned on his counsel. Daniel didn't chase the throne. but the throne came looking for him because of the excellence God placed within him. That's what's about to happen for you. The right opportunities, the right partnerships, the right platforms, they will find you because of who you are in God. Chosen one, you are being positioned as an Esther, a Joseph, a Daniel in your generation. You are being lifted into places where decisions are made. And when you open your mouth, it won't just be you speaking. It will be the Spirit of the living God flowing through you. You will carry authority not because of a title, but because of the mantle on your life. Understand this. Influence doesn't always look like standing on a stage or being followed by thousands. Sometimes it looks like being the quiet advisor in the room who shifts the direction of history with one sentence. Sometimes it looks like being the bridge between worlds, the voice that brings peace in chaos, the presence that carries solutions when everyone else is panicking. Influence is not about being seen. It's about being undeniable. And this is why God had to prepare you in private. Because influence without character destroys. Influence without wisdom collapses. Influence without humility corrupts. But you, chosen one, you have been broken, tested, refined, and reshaped, so that when God places you higher, you will not fall under the weight of it. So don't shrink when God lifts you. Don't second-guess yourself when the seat at the table is offered to you. Don't allow insecurity to convince you that you don't belong. You belong because heaven sent you. You belong because your influence is an assignment, not an accident. Very soon, those who once doubted you will look up and see you walking in rooms they thought were far beyond your reach. They will hear your name mentioned in places they never believed you'd be relevant. And they will have no choice but to admit it was God who placed you there. Chosen one, you are being positioned for influence not just for yourself, but for the generations connected to you. You are the one God is trusting to carry the light of heaven into spaces where darkness has ruled too long. Step into it boldly because this influence is divine, unstoppable, and sealed by the hand of God. Chapter 6. Your rise will break generational limits. Chosen one, hear me. This rise is not just about you. It is about your entire bloodline. What God is doing in your life is so significant, so transformative, that it will not stop with your name. It will ripple through your family, through your lineage, through generations yet unborn. This is bigger than personal success. This is about destiny, fulfillment, and generational redemption. For too long, your family may have been plagued with cycles. Cycles of poverty, cycles of brokenness, cycles of limitation, cycles of missed opportunities. Some of your ancestors worked hard but never saw the fruit. Some dreamed big but lacked the resources to step forward. Some carried wisdom but were silenced by oppression, by systems, by circumstances. And for generations, it may have looked like your bloodline was destined to stay bound. But God, in His sovereignty, chose you. You are the one He has marked to break what seemed unbreakable. The ceiling that kept them down is about to become the floor you walk upon. The walls that hemmed them in are about to crumble at your feet. The poverty that held them captive will no longer hold you because God says, with you the cycle ends. Chosen one, you are the curse breaker. You are the one heaven has positioned as the chain snatcher in your family. You are the one chosen to go where no one else has gone, to carry what no one else could carry. and to unlock doors that were welded shut for generations. What your ancestors prayed for but could not reach, you will step into. The dreams they whispered in secret, the visions they saw but could not manifest, you will manifest. You are their answered prayer, the living evidence that their struggles were not in vain. Understand this, your rise is not just personal victory. It is prophetic fulfillment. It is heaven saying the bloodline is redeemed. When you rise, it is not only you being lifted, it is your children, your children's children, and generations after them being lifted. The blessing on your life is not meant to stop with you. It is designed to overflow, to pass down, to multiply. You are setting a new standard. You are building a new legacy. The same way Abraham's obedience brought blessings to Isaac and Jacob, your obedience is writing a new story for those who will come after you. The same way Joseph's rise in Egypt preserved his entire family line, your rise will preserve and uplift those connected to your name. The chains of lack, sickness, fear, and oppression that once defined your lineage are being shattered because of your yes to God. And let me tell you something powerful. Your enemies will see it. The very ones who thought your family was finished, who mocked the generational struggles, who thought you were destined to repeat the same old cycles, they will have to watch as God lifts you. They will see that where your bloodline was once blocked, a divine floodgate has now opened. They will witness your family stepping into new levels of opportunity, influence, and favor. And they will know it was the hand of God. Chosen one, this is why your process was so hard. This is why your battles felt heavier than those around you. Because you weren't just fighting for yourself, you were fighting for a generation. Chapter 7. Walk humbly into your promise. Finally, chosen one, as you are lifted, remember this. The elevation is not for ego, it is for assignment. God is not raising you just to be seen, He is raising you to be sent. Your success is not a trophy for the shelf. It is a tool for the kingdom. Heaven does not waste miracles, and this lifting you are stepping into is not random, it is divine strategy. You are being lifted so you can lift others. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, forgotten in prison, yet God raised him to sit in a palace. But notice this. Joseph's elevation was never just for himself. It was so he could save nations in famine, rescue his family, and preserve a promise spoken generations before. In the same way, your rise is not only about your name or your comfort, it is about the lives attached to your obedience. The same pit that once tried to silence you will become the platform for your testimony, and others will eat from the bread of wisdom you carry. You are being blessed so you can be a blessing. Every resource, every connection, every opportunity God places in your hands is holy. Do not hoard it, release it. Be generous with encouragement, generous with wisdom, generous with your time, your gifts, and your wealth. Remember, you were chosen because you could be trusted. God knew He could pour into you, and you wouldn't just keep it. You would pour it out to others. Your blessing is meant to flow like a river, not sit stagnant like a pond. You are being promoted so you can represent the kingdom at a higher level. When you step into new rooms, don't just carry your resume, carry the anointing. When you sit at new tables, don't just bring your ideas, bring God's wisdom. When you're given influence, don't just use it for personal gain. Use it to shift atmospheres, to stand for truth, to demonstrate integrity in a world that has forgotten what it looks like. Your lifting is not about blending in, it is about standing out as evidence that God still raises the humble and resists the proud. Chosen one, do not forget where you came from. Do not let pride creep in when the very people who once mocked you now marvel at you. Do not let bitterness overtake you when those who left you behind now chase your presence. Do not let arrogance steal the sweetness of your victory. Stay grounded, because humility is the foundation that sustains elevation. Pride can build quickly, but humility keeps what pride destroys. And here is the deeper truth. Where they said you'd never reach is not even the end. It is only the beginning. Man may have set a limit, but God has no ceiling. What others thought would be your final destination is simply your launching pad. Your story is not ending with this lifting, it is unfolding. God is only just beginning to reveal what He has stored up for you. This is your time. The waiting season has expired. The tears you sowed in the dark are about to become songs of joy in the light. The wilderness is behind you. The refining fire has finished its work. You are stepping into the fulfillment of promises spoken long ago. So rise with confidence, but bow with reverence. Rise with boldness, but walk in gratitude. Rise with power, but stay surrendered, because the higher God lifts you, the deeper you must stay rooted in Him. A tree can only grow tall if its roots grow deeper, and the same is true for you. Chosen one, heaven has declared this over you. You will not fall. You will not fail. You will not go back. The God who carried you through the valley is the same God who will keep you on the mountain. You didn't get here by luck, you got here by divine appointment. And because God Himself is the one who has lifted you, no man, no enemy, and no weapon can pull you down. This is your moment. This is your confirmation. Walk humbly into your promise. Step boldly into your destiny, and never forget. The God who lifted you is the God who will sustain you for every step ahead.